Let's get into it. Coach Colin here. Sage Steele, Wesley Hunt, Byron Donalds, all sitting down in a podcast. They're talking a lot about the fact that black people feel like they are just owned or have to be Democrats for an unknown reason that they couldn't explain to you, even if you press them on the question. Now, in this particular clip, right, they do a whole podcast touching on, where the black community is. But in this particular clip, Byron Donalds, Wesley Hunt in particular, touch on their favorite Trump story. Now, I don't care what your favorite Trump moment is. It's going to be second to this story that they are about to tell you. This is a story of strength. This is a story of why no country wanted to mess with America while Trump was in office. This shows exactly what type of leader Donald Trump is in the eyes of other nations. Now, you're going to have to listen. It's not going to be right off the bat. You're going to have to listen. It's near the end. So listen for this story. It's absolutely incredible. Byron Donalds, Wesley Hunt. If you don't know Wesley Hunt, he's a representative for Texas. Really check him out. He gives some great speeches. He's America first. He is straight up mega. Let's get into it.
The arena's 3/4 full at that time. 10,000 people outside the arena in the line snaking to get in. I told my friend, I said, listen, when Donald Trump hits this podium, he's going to be like Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania. This thing's going nuts. Watch what's going to happen. Trump hits the catwalk, place goes berserk. Pandemonium everywhere. I felt like, Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan were calling it live right then and there. I love pro wrestling, by the way.
Love it.
I digress. So I'm watching the whole thing. I tell my friend, I go, dude, that's the next president of the United States. You can't fake that.
You cannot.
I will tell you, these last 6 to 8 months, it's like that and more. I was in the Bronx. I got off the plane. I'm dragging my bag behind me just to make sure I got to the podium before he gets to the podium, because the motorcade's moving through Manhattan to get to the Bronx.
Yeah.
I got out in the Uber. I'm running up there. I get to the podium. They go, we're putting you on right now. I go straight up the catwalk. I go to the podium. In the Bronx, I'm not sure what to really expect. I get to that podium, 10,000 people, black, Spanish, Spanish, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Honduran, Venezuelan, black people, Haitian people, white people, and they were going nuts for Donald J. Trump.
I could not believe the video.
Yeah.
And then the interviews with people who look like us.
Oh, yeah.
Women. I mean, it was shocking.
And then you see AOC the other day with 100 people.
I cannot.
Running around the stage.
I was embarrassed for her.
It was terrible.
And the dancing around and...
No, you didn't see that?
I saw it.
You saw it?
I saw it a lot. And that was ridiculous.
But then what happened?
Jamal Bowman lost.
Oh, yeah.
Badly.
Yeah, that was...
Lost badly. And you know what? There's a lot of deeper story with him for sure that we don't even...
You can't pull fire alarms. You can't pull fire alarms.
You can't pull fire alarms. Let's put it that. We learned that in kindergarten, for goodness sake.
Kindergarten 101.
Don't touch the fire alarm.
Don't touch the fire alarm.
Two things. I wanted to just add on a tiny bit to America first and our greatness, because one thing I always come back to is whenever there is a natural disaster, whenever there's a tragedy anywhere on this planet, who do they look to first?
Us, America.
Us. Whether they ask or whether we give.
Yeah.
We're the first ones. And so it does make me laugh in many ways, where people are, we're anti this and anti that, and we're racist and prejudiced. And I'm like, no other country, at least to this level, I don't know,
we behave this way.
gives and tries to uplift and help those in need at their darkest moment. That's one of the things that I'm so proud of.
We've given the Ukraine $160 billion and counting.
And that's just since when?
To fix their border, and we ain't fixing
our own
ours.
border.
And then we intentionally ignore ours. Let me ask you about...
Ooh, real quick, hold on. I know we got to touch this.
Yeah.
Because you brought up what we do for the world. When the world's in trouble, we show up. Joe Biden, the man is awful. He's terrible at this job. America knows he's terrible at the job.
Everyone knows. This is not a conversation.
We have lost 7 United States embassies under his presidency.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So we have embassies all over the world in
Yes.
every country. That is essentially sovereign American
American soil.
territory. Under his watch, we have had to evacuate 7 United States embassies.
I did not know
that.
that.
Has never happened in American history.
That's how weak
Never.
we are. That's how weak we
That's
are.
how
right now.
weak we are on the world stage.
What?
That's how bad
And
it is.
okay, help me. Why has that happened? Why are we evacuating? Because there's no protection. There's no fear.
I'm gonna say real quick, and I'm gonna give it to Wesley.
Yeah.
When you are weak, and our adversaries know you're weak, they push you. It's no different than the bully in the schoolyard. If you're timid and the bully knows he can get away with it, what happens? He comes for your lunch money every single week.
Does.
Every single day.
Until you punch back.
Until you punch back. We have been weak under Joe Biden. And so our adversaries around the globe, big and small, know that they can push us. Go ahead, Wesley, you go. You can talk.
I'm gonna give you my favorite President Trump story. This is my #1 favorite of all time. When we were negotiating with the Taliban, while President Trump was still the president, President Trump wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we will start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. It's President Trump and Mike Pompeo, and they are talking to Taliban leadership in the room, and they had one translator in the room. President Trump looked at the Taliban leader and said this: I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal. And translator translated. And he said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, and Trump goes, tell him.
Yes.
Tell him what I said.
Tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Sure did.
Do you know for 18 months not a single American was killed in Afghanistan?
Sure did.
That's the definition of strength. That's what I'm talking about. And so you could imagine that kind of sentiment being around the world. If we have an embassy in another country, no one's going to touch it because they're going to be fearful that they're going to get a Moab on their head. That's how President Trump rolls. This is the opposite of strength. This is the definition of weakness. And so now we're being feasted upon by other countries when our embassies are there because the Americans aren't going to do anything about it and they don't want us there anyway. But the point of us having an embassy there and the point of us having sovereign American soul is to be able to keep an eye on the world to a certain extent, to have that presence. But you can't have that presence when you have feckless leadership.
That story, I can picture
All-time
happening.
favorite story. Of course it happened.
And on the other side,
Yeah.
I interviewed President Biden a month after he took office. He was fine during the interview. And then, but actually technical issues leading up to it, I had to fill time. I was like, oh, goodness gracious, I got to fill with the sitting president and it's via satellite. And he had, I've told the story before, he had trouble finishing his sentence.
I watched the interview.
I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
And that more off camera is what people really didn't see, where I just kept silent until
was a few
recently.
years ago.
This is 3.5 years ago. And so big picture, because the policies, the way the country's being run, disaster. It's an unmitigated disaster at this point. The human side of that is heartbreaking that his family has allowed this to happen.
It's elder abuse.
It is 100%. And I say, shame on Dr. Jill Biden.
Yes, it's a shame.
Shame on his children and those who claim to love him. Because my father's only a couple years younger. Your father's right there too. And I know how devastating it must be from other experiences with family members.
Yes.
There's no way I would allow that to happen.
No, me neither.
And if for no other reason, obviously for his health, but for his pride as a man who needs help right now.
Yes.
And it is dangerous for the country. It's all the things, and it's also heartbreaking in that way. I just wanted to put that out there because I think we can separate politics from the human element, and it's disgusting what they have allowed to happen.
It's wrong.
Man, very true what they said at the end there, but check out that story. Am I wrong? Is that not not even a story that the American people are going to hear as he's doing it? Telling him, listen, if anything happens to any American, you're done. And then just in the jacket pocket, here's a picture of his house. Just so you know, I'm not playing around. Got a lot of guys outside. I'm not playing games. Just so you know. Just want to make it clear. Are we clear? Okay. I guess we're clear. Man, that has to be my favorite Trump story, my favorite Trump moment. I have another one. I don't know if I could even find it for you guys. Trump's most bad a moment. I don't even know if I can find it, but I don't know about you guys. That one is up there for me. That's my new favorite moment, because that's one where you don't even know about that. And he didn't make it a point to tell anybody about that. That's just one of those moments that he just did that. He just decided, this is what I'm going to do. That's way better than the lock her up moment. That's way better than I was trying to find it. And I found this instead. The moment where he doesn't shake Nancy Pelosi's hand. Oh my God. It's way better than that moment because it's a serious moment and it puts fear in the hearts of the enemies. And that's exactly what you need. And that's exactly what's missing right now. And you can tell. How could you not tell? How could you be Putin and be in a room with Biden and be like, oh yeah, I'm afraid of this guy too? You might understand, oh, this guy has a huge military and everything, but you're not going to be afraid of him. He's not going to be able to intimidate you. He's not going to be able to go back and forth with you. Leader of China, why do you think, what? And I just realized this just as I was about to say it. Why do you think the leader of China went and met with Gavin Newsom instead of meeting with Biden? Why do you think Gavin Newsom was even in the mix? Because Gavin Newsom could say things way better than Biden could and way better than Kamala could. Hey, prove me wrong. Anybody out there, prove me wrong on that. I think that's exactly what just happened. I think that's exactly what we saw. I can't find the moment that I was thinking of. My moment, for me, one of the before I saw this story, my moment was Trump went in front of all of these world leaders and he was explaining to them that they're going to start paying their fair share. And that was another one because it wasn't something that was done in a rally. It wasn't something to gain applause. It was something that was America's getting screwed and it stops here. And I think those moments are just the best, because that pushes aside that whole nonsensical talking point that Trump is just at this for himself. That moment that Wesley Hunt just went over, that shows right there. He's not out for himself. He did not say that to that guy for himself. In fact, if he was out for himself, he'd be cutting deals with every nation. He'd be selling off America left and right. Let me get 100 million here. Let me get a couple billion here. Let me get a couple billion here. He'd be doing that all day. He'd be like, yeah, let's send China more money. But listen, let's do this thing. We got a Trump international thing there. You pay that $1 billion. Let's keep doing that. He would have done stuff like that. And those things that I just said, I'll say allegedly, but Biden's done things like that. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. For me, that's my favorite story. And then he hands him a picture. I'm telling you, check this podcast out. Sage Steele. If you don't know about her, again, she's a very America first woman. If you don't know about Wesley Hunt, definitely check him out. He is absolutely incredible. And when it comes, look at these guys wearing cowboy boots. Guy's cowboy boots on. What's going on? Guy's cowboy boots on. He's not playing around. Now, I will say also, just for anybody who's questioning this story that Wesley said, Wesley has served and his father has served. So he's not going to just make up stories about things like that. He takes it very, very seriously. And he was involved in that whole thing. So just to put that out there really quick before anybody tries to say that this guy's just saying that because he's on a podcast. That's not the case. He served his country. His father served the country. He takes it very, very seriously. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments what your favorite Trump moment was. You know, in case this one didn't replace it, I think this one should replace it. Handing somebody a picture of a guy's house and saying, I'm going to put a bomb on that house if you touch any American. That to me that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And that's the strength. That's the strength that Trump's constantly talking about. And that's the type of action that you take when you don't want to see any more war happen. That's exactly what you say. And just so you know, he said that exact same stuff to Putin. He said to Putin, and this is another story, he said to Putin, listen, if you do, I forget what it was either Ukraine or something, but he said, if you do that, listen, I'm going to bomb Moscow. and Putin was just like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna destroy Moscow. Okay? So just so you know, if you don't do what I'm telling you to do, that's what's coming next. And Putin stayed in line. People think like there's this love affair, like Trump wants the admiration of Putin. That's not what's happening with any world leader that's around Trump. Trump just wants them to stay in line. And the best way to have people stay in line is to not call them thugs and dictators and this and that. The best way is to be nice, to be cordial, and to also let them know that their entire country can blow up at just the wave of a finger if you touch an American person. I like it. I like it myself, I gotta say. Anyways, guys, let me know what your story is. Subscribe, turn on the notifications, helps tremendously. Other than that, I'm out.